Here's a rapid-fire summary of the universe. Number 1. Multiverse. There might be other universes. There are two types of multiverses we think might exist: the cosmological and the quantum. The cosmological is simple. Well, kind of. In this multiverse, there are literally multiple other universes from multiple other Big Bangs. Or another version is that there's just one universe at a time, but it keeps refreshing and goes through multiple cycles of Big Bangs and Big Crunches, i.e. births and deaths. Okay, one last version is that the universe we are in right now itself extends infinitely, and so you're going to see variations of everything, including you, if you just keep traveling further into space. The cosmological multiverse so far has no hard evidence as such, but the quantum multiverse, believe it or not, is likely real and has had experimental evidence backing it up since the 50s. The double slit experiment and the many worlds interpretation of its results means that the universe constantly branches out into variations of itself depending on what's going on. The only limit to this branching being that events that don't obey the laws of physics won't happen. So you might be a bit taller in one of the universes, but you with a human's biological build wouldn't be able to fly in any of them. Number 2, the first second. Most of the stuff in it came from the very first second. We don't know what was there before that first second, but between 0 seconds and 10 raised to the power minus 43 seconds, all the matter and energy in our universe was contained in one single point, a point that was a billion times smaller than a subatomic particle. Between 10 raised to the power minus 43 seconds and 1 second, lots of things happened. Gravity and the other three fundamental forces separated, elementary particles were formed, space expanded in size by about 10 raised to the power 26 times its original size, and matter gained the upper hand over antimatter. So all the fundamental stuff came from that first second. All the bigger stuff you see, stars and planets and so on, came millions of years after that very first second. Number 3, big and empty. It's really big, but mostly empty. All the stuff that came out of the Big Bang, including space itself, has been expanding in all directions for over 13 billion years. But from where we are located in the universe, we are able to see only a fraction of that expanded size. This portion that we are able to see is called the observable universe. And it's about 93 billion light years, or 8.8 into 10 raised to the power 23 kilometers in diameter. That's a lot of space, but it's mostly empty. On an average, every cubic meter of space has less than an atom of matter in it. The closest star to us is about 4 light years away, but the closest galaxy is 25,000 light years away. So intergalactic space is where a lot of the emptiness comes from. Life. It's just another configuration of elements. After that first 1 second of expansion, there are only 3 elements in the universe: hydrogen, helium, and lithium. After over 100 million years, gas clouds of these elements collapsed into what we call stars. Stars are mostly just dense chemical reactions of hydrogen fusing into helium. But as these stars burned along, something interesting started happening. The intense heat inside these stars ended up churning out heavier elements, 3 of which are some of the most abundant in the universe right now. These 3 elements, oxygen, carbon, and nitrogen, along with hydrogen, form 99% of the atoms in the human body. These elements are of course not exclusive to our galaxy or our star system. So there's no reason to think that life never evolved in the billions of other planets orbiting billions of other stars in the universe. I won't get into the arguments for why life might or might not exist elsewhere, but it's suffice to say here that life is just yet another configuration of the most common elements that the universe has produced, but surely an important one at that. Number 5, early science. Science, or our attempts at understanding the universe, has been ongoing for a few thousand years at best, and most of our current knowledge comes from the last 100. What we have already figured out might seem like a lot. It might look like we are oh so close to a so-called theory of everything. But just consider a couple of things. 1, the multiverse situation I described earlier. And 2, the fact that we don't have access to a vast, unobservable portion of the universe. Does it still look like we have figured out everything? Now throw in the fact that there might be other intelligent life out there and that we have no idea what was there before the Big Bang. Neither do we know how space expanded abruptly by 10 raised to the power 26 times in the very first second. Our science is in its infancy, which is actually good news because there's so much of a universe that's left to explore. These 5 points only begin to scratch the surface of our existing knowledge. But I hope the summary stoked your curiosity to find out more.